Good morning, students. Welcome to RPS group of schools. Now, today we will discuss about the topics in which we can see many living organisms around us. Some are large, some are small, but there are certain type of living organisms we cannot see with unaided eyes. Such organisms are called microorganisms. So here we will study and we will discuss in detail about microorganisms. What are microorganisms? Microorganisms or microbes are tiny organisms which are so small that we cannot see them with an unaided eye. A microorganism or microbe is a microscopic organism which may exist in its single-celled form, that is unicellular, or in a colony of cells. We can see them only with the help of an instrument called microscope. The branch of science that deals with the study of microorganisms is called microbiology. Discovery of microorganisms. A Dutch scientist, Anton van Leeuwenhoek, was the first person to observe microorganisms with the help of his newly invented microscope. A largely self-taught man in science, he is commonly known as the father of microbiology and one of the microscopists and microbiologists. Van Leeuwenhoek is best known for his pioneering work in microscopy and for his contributions towards the establishment of microbiology as a scientific discipline. We can see microorganisms with the help of an instrument called microscope. So, we can define the microscope as the instruments designed to produce magnified images of objects too small to be seen with the naked eye. Actually, the discovery of microorganisms is closely related to the advancement of microscope. Let's study about the general characteristics of microorganisms. Microorganisms are either single-celled or a collection of undifferentiated cells. Microorganisms are ubiquitous in nature. That is, they are found almost everywhere. They occur in air, water, soil, dead and decaying organic matter, and inside as well as on the body of living organisms. Microorganisms can exist in extreme conditions of temperature and drought, in hot water springs as well as in desert and marshy lands. During unfavorable conditions, microorganisms enclose themselves in hard resistant covering called the cyst. When environmental conditions become favorable, the cyst ruptures and microorganisms come out and multiply. In this way, microorganisms survive even in a very harsh and adverse conditions by forming cysts. On the basis of their mode of nutrition, microbes can be autotrophs, they can be heterotrophs, saprophytes, or parasites. Where do the microorganisms live? So the habitat of microorganisms, generally microorganisms are found practically everywhere and in all types of environments. They can be found in air. They can be found in soil of various types, including soil of deserts and marshy lands, water, including hot water springs, salty seawater, and ice-cold water on the poles. Microorganisms can be found on dead and decaying organic matter. Microbes can be found on all the organisms, including plants and animals, which are good carrier of these microorganisms. Some microorganisms grow on other organisms while some exist freely. Microorganisms can live alone while some live in colonies. Let's study about the major group of microorganisms. If you see, there are four major group of microorganisms. These are bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and algae. So we will study one by one in detail about these microorganisms. Bacteria. Happiness and microorganisms or bacteria have one thing in common. They multiply by dividing. So here we will study in detail about bacteria. Bacteria is a microscopic, simplest living organism and ubiquitous in nature, that is, found almost everywhere on the earth. Bacteria inhabit soil, water, acidic hot springs, radioactive waste, and even they are found in the deep portions of the earth crust. Bacteria were among the first life forms to appear on the earth about 4 billion years ago. They are mostly single-celled tiny organisms, but they live together in colonies of millions. Bacteria are examples of primitive prokaryotic cell, which do not have a membrane-bound nucleus. Though made up of single cell or it is a unicellular, many bacteria have filament like flagella for locomotion. Bacteria have tough cell wall like plant cells. Bacteria have small hair-like structures called pilus which help to join other bacteria to form a chain. If we see the size of the bacteria varies from 0.2 to 100 microns. Depending on the mode of nutrition, some bacteria are autotrophs and prepare their food by the process of chemosynthesis. Now, what is chemosynthesis? It is a synthesis of organic compounds by bacteria using energy derived from the chemical reactions involving inorganic materials, typically in the absence of sunlight. Some bacteria are saprophytes and obtain their food from dead and decaying organic matter. Some bacteria that obtain food from other organisms and are totally dependent on other organisms are called parasitic bacteria. Now, based on the need of oxygen, bacteria can be further divided into aerobic bacteria and anaerobic bacteria. So, the bacteria which need oxygen for their growth are called aerobic bacteria, and the bacteria which survive without oxygen are called anaerobic bacteria. Let's discuss about the shapes of bacteria. If you see the shapes of bacteria, they are generally found in spherical shape, rod-shaped, spiral-shaped, and vibrio, comma-shaped. Bacteria are found in different shapes. They are actually identified by their shapes. When we talk about spherical shaped, it is also called as coccus. Now, if it is a unicellular spherical shaped bacteria, it is called as monococcus. If it exists in pair, that means two, then it is called as diplococcus. If it exists in the form of a cluster, it is called as staphylococcus. And if it exists in a chain form, it is called as streptococcus. Now, the next shape is the rod-shaped. These are actually rod-shaped bacteria. The examples are E. coli, Salmonella, and Lactobacillus. If you see the shape, this one, spirilla, is actually a spiral-shaped bacteria. The examples are Treponema and Borrelia. Other one is the comma-shaped bacteria. It is also called as Vibrio. The example of this comma-shaped bacteria is Vibrio cholera, which causes a disease called cholera. Now let's discuss about the reproduction in bacteria. Bacteria follow an asexual mode of reproduction called binary fission. A single bacterium divides into two daughter cells. These are identical to the parent cell as well as to each other. Replication of DNA within parent bacterium marks the beginning of the fission. Eventually, cell elongates to form two daughter cells. The rate and timing of reproduction depends upon the conditions like temperature and availability of nutrients. Now, if you see the diagrammatic representation, you will find that the bacterial cell grows under favorable conditions. First, the nuclear material divides, which is followed by the division of cytoplasm present in it. Finally, the cell divides into two daughter cells that may separate or sometimes cling together, forming clusters, chains, or filaments. With this, we end up this module. Thank you, students. Take a good care of yourself and your family. Goodbye.